I don't know if I'm revealing secrets of the pros here. I suppose that's what this is all about. But
this is good advice.
And if you have that in a side project, then it gives you this chance to truly experiment and then find elements of yourself that you might not have known about.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians.
Early on, artists don't reach out to you because no one knows who you are. So it's so like early on, I think it's important for you to look for people and to believe in people really early on who are just starting to find somebody with something that you believe in and stick with them. And if you hear something in them, there probably is something to them. And if you help them achieve something, they'll believe in you too. It's just like if you look at Timbaland's history with Missy Elliott when he was DJ Timmy Tim, and he was just making tracks on his keyboard and stuff, and Missy Elliott got offered a record deal, and she said, I'll come to New York if I can bring Magoon Timmy Tim. I think it's about finding people. I guess it's a sort of 19th century idea of the visionary artist with the music in their head and they write it all down on a page. For me, it's much more a case of discovering a song through creating some chords that sort of do some things that I know that I love, and then working out ways of relating them to each other with melodic fragments and that sort of thing. And that's exactly as we described the songwriting process to be like. For me, it does feel like it's a discovery rather than a kind of realization of a thing that I previously had.
Do you automate mini effects?
Yeah, I do. I think one has to. I think it's very important to play with things like, I think the tuning of a lead synth is a very important thing to play around with, because playing with kind of microtonal tuning of a lead synth gives it more of a feeling like a human voice,
more presence.
Yeah, and it means it sort of sticks out of the sort of harmonic series a bit more as well, and makes it work more as a lead. Also, just always sort of like controlling the expression of a synth as well with cutoff is a very is an example of automation that I use a lot.
Yeah.
And the second thing is having a template file on your DAW which is ready to record, to have a mic, to have it set up. The majority of my sessions, I have a sort of template file where I have a lot of instruments that I can just jump straight into. If I have an idea that's like an arpeggio or a chord or something like that, I have a kind of template that I can go to. Sort of embryonic, sort of early sounds, like very simple pads, very simple bass sound, very simple drums, and then have a track where you can just record audio straight into it and have the microphone. So, because lots of artists like Olly just start singing if they have an idea. There's no kind of like, okay, let's get the headphones on, let's get this. And then if you have one of those dynamic microphones that just can record in the room, just so you can just press record and then it's there. So there's no scrambling, there's no suddenly you press record and then the feedback makes the speakers sort of go crazy.
This episode is being supported by our good friends at Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then as far as we're concerned, switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. It's free, and there are a load of features you won't find on Apple's Voice Memos app, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, include photos of settings, and you can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So head to the link below to install the app now. And if you want even more, check out Tape It Pro and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off. And now, back to the episode. Tommy Taylor says pitch shifting is a common effect in Danny's production. How does he achieve this?
Tell us, Danny.
Yes, please.
I don't know if I'm revealing secrets of the pros here. I suppose that's what this is all about. But for me, the best software for doing that is Audacity, but I can't always do that. Historically, all of us in sort of PC music world always use the Logic Very Speed function, where you slow down the whole project by a few semitones, And I do recommend that you use semitones. You do not use the percentage, because that can get into a world of disgusting nonsense when it comes to BPMs and what key the song's in.
Awful.
So you detune it by a few semitones, record it in to a slower, very sped track, and then bring it back to the normal BPM using vari-speed. So you take vari-speed off basically, and then you'll have a sped up vocal in your track. I think in terms of using synths, unless you just have a very instinctive relationship with it, it is good to check for internal effects and stuff and to understand how to use them. If you deal with presets or anything like that, you can be dealing with a lot of reverb before it even gets to your sort of channel strip. And it's good to understand what the sound is at its core that you're using before you start putting stuff on. So with the Triton here, so we have these drums being played here. So if you go into the easy menu here, then you can sort of remove these two. They're not actually doing that much, as you can see. Whenever I've always had multiple projects going on at the same time, and I've always had sort of a main project, and I've always had lots of side projects going on, and a lot of the side projects are often just things that are just for me or for a friend of mine or something like that. And I think that is very important. I would say essential for me, but very important to have a kind of like creative playground where there is no where maybe no one's even going to listen to it, but a place where you can truly be free and experiment creatively.
This is good advice.
And if you have that in a side project, then it gives you this chance to truly experiment and then find elements of yourself that you might not have known about, and to sort of experience creative freedom. And that will 100%, without a doubt, affect your main stream of work. It's just focus on the way it makes you feel, and also listen to the first version of it, which can be quite painful, because it's like, actually, you might hear a bunch of stuff that you preferred about
really
that version,
liked,
and then you got to be really honest with yourself and be like, should we just return back to this? Like, often the first version is a lot simpler, like we're talking about with the Beautiful track. That's not a process that we went through, because I think we're both really used to sort of writing. We understood that song from the start, that we wanted to keep it simple, but I think early on in my career, I would just end up adding and then just like listen to the original. I don't think I was mature enough at that point to actually make the call, actually the first version was better and we should go back to that. That kind of call is made a lot these days. There's that story about a Michael Jackson song being mixed where they went through 98 different mixes for it, and then they landed on mix 2 at the end of the whole thing.
Of course.